Hey gang, I'm going to share with you 9 tips today on how you can build more muscle with push-ups. This also goes for just almost any pushing movement, particularly dips. In my mind, they're pretty much about the same exercise. So let's get jumping right into it. Step number 1, plan your workouts. Just like I said in the last video, just because you can do push-ups anytime, any place, whenever you feel like it, doesn't mean you can get by without a plan where you're saying, this is the day I do my push-ups, this is the number of sets I do, this is how many I'm doing per set. You plan it just like any other workout. When are your rest days? When are your workout days? Keep a log and stick to the plan. That way you have consistency, and with consistency you have progression, and where you will have progression you will find more muscle and strength. So make sure you got somewhat of a plan. It doesn't even have to be a good plan, just as long as it's a plan. Don't wing it. Winners never wing it, as I like to say. Number 2, kiss the baby. Talk about this in convict conditioning. A lot of times when people come down to push-ups, they're like, okay, how close do I get down to the ground? Fist width, about 6 inches, what are we talking about here? Kissing the baby. How much range should you use? All of it, which means you come all the way down until you are physically touching the ground. But what we do is we touch the ground with the chest, not the chin, not the belly, the chest, lead with the chest, with just the amount of force you would kiss a baby on the forehead with. So you come down, touch, pause, that's number 3, and then come back up. Again, this is all about increasing tension. All of this stuff. If you increase tension, time under tension, you'll increase muscle and strength. It's as simple as that. If something does not increase your time under tension, it's worthless and pointless to follow in the name of muscle and strength. Maybe it has other purposes to it. So kiss the baby, make sure you pause top and bottom. Again, we're using proactive tension and following PTR. So proactive tension, a lot of times people just jump down and start banging out push-ups like crazy. And their mind is thinking, okay, just do the push-up. That's how low the bar is set, is as long as you can do the push-up, then that's good enough. Don't settle for that low level of standard. You're not doing push-ups for the sake of doing push-ups. You're doing it for the sake of generating tension. So use proactive tension, as I talk about in my chain training PDF, to create more tension. Don't just be like, okay, this is the minimal amount of tension I need in order to do the rep. Really stress the hell out of that sucker to the max, and PTR, position, tension, resistance, will help you do just that. Again, a lot of people do this backwards. They put on the resistance on their hands, they let the tension go wherever the hell it wants to go, and then as they're doing it, they adjust their position. They're like, oh wait, where's my elbow supposed to be? Oh, my hips are getting a little high. Do it the other way around. Get down on your knees. You can do push-ups from the floor up. What I'm starting to do now is I have my arms straight, but my knees are on the ground. Okay, I get everything in position. So I'm like, where are my hands? Where are my shoulders? Get my hips and core just right. Okay, then set up the tension. Get everything right. Good. Turn it all on as hard as I can. Then I'll lift up my knees, or I'll lift myself up off the floor and have the resistance. So it's backwards from what normally just drop and give me 20 will do for you. Number 6, of course, again, breathe. Do not let your breathing limit your tension and therefore your potential strength and muscle gains. More breathing you do, the more energy you'll have, the more tension, and the more time you can withstand to have that tension. Therefore, the more muscular fatigue you'll have. Because at the end of the game, or at the end of the day, building muscle is never about sets. It's never about reps. It's all about tension, and tension causes fatigue. Fatigue is what tells your muscles they got to get bigger and stronger. And if you're not breathing very much and you've got systematic fatigue versus more of like muscular fatigue, you'll never stand a chance in hell. So breathe and do not limit yourself as far as how much tension and therefore fatigue you can experience. Number 7, chase tension, not repetitions. Okay, don't be a rep chaser. This is something I used to do a lot, and it's very prevalent with push-ups these days. You're like, I could do 100 push-ups, blah, blah, blah. There's tons of videos out there of people doing 100 push-ups, and they're not doing 100 push-ups. They're doing 100 cries for help. It's not the reps that matter. It's the tension, it's the fatigue, and when we chase reps, our mind is naturally going to start looking for ways to be able to do more repetition, more volume, with the same amount of tension. Therefore, how can I get less tension with each repetition. Like I say, I don't want to learn from the guy who promises, hey, Matt, I can teach you how to do 100 push-ups. I want to learn from the guy who says, I'm going to teach you how to do like 10 push-ups, and you'll feel like you did 100. That's the guy I want to learn from, not the guy who's like, I can do 100 push-ups. So what? 100 push-ups is not impressive. 10 push-ups and collapsing into a heap and being like, oh my God, that was everything I had. That's what I'm looking for. Number 8, make sure you got back strength and stability. Yeah, I talked about this in a previous video. Your core is not the center of strength for your upper body. It's your back. Your back has got some of the biggest, strongest muscles that are responsible for where your shoulders and everything are lying. So if your back is not tense, tight, and tucked, your pushing muscles are gonna, again, it's gonna be all over the place. It's like tension's just bouncing around all over the place. Who knows what's going on? Make sure your back is stable, locked in, put just as much, if not more so, tension in your back as you do with your chest. This is particularly the case with dips. I've even heard some people say that when you're doing dips, it should be 50-50. 50% of the tension's in your chest, 50% is in your back. And it pulls upon itself and it keeps it nice and stable. It's like a little tug of war back and forth. Otherwise, it all goes forward, and that's when you get guys doing this kind of thing. Okay, so make sure you got your back strong and stable, and make sure you're putting tension in your back for every pushing exercise you do. And finally, make close push-ups and overlapping push-ups your staples. So coming down, I talked about this center line principle. The more we focus on center line principle, the more we're gonna get all of this stuff. The more time, the more tension, the less stress on the joints, everything. And a lot of times, this is the standard way of doing things. Nothing wrong with this, but if you wanna get really more advanced, you gotta come in to the point where you're used to doing things along your center line, which, as I'm quickly finding out, is now what feels good. Like wide stuff feels like it's really backwards, really wrong. And I do wide push. I'm like, who in the world ever thought this was a good idea? This is home now for me. So make these your staple, and the wide stuff is the stuff you play around with. Let me know if you have questions down below. Be fit, live free.